Alright, hello everyone, my name is Chandan and I welcome you all to my channel. This is going to be the 12th video in TestNG tutorial series, and what we are going to see today is what are groups, meta groups, partial groups in TestNG, and how can we leverage regex to achieve groupings in TestNG. Alright, so let's quickly start. Let's see the agenda for today. The agenda for today is we are going to see what is groups in TestNG, and then we are going to see how we can include and exclude groups using TestNG XML file, and then we are going to jump over to MetaGroups, followed by partial groups, and finally at the end we are going to see how we can leverage regex to achieve grouping in TestNG. Alright, so let's quickly start with the first one. So what is a group? We all know that group is a collection of items with common characteristics, right? So let's take an example. We have 100 bananas, all right? Now they are either in yellow or they are green in color, right? So based on the color, you decided to divide them, separate them based on the colors. So you took all the yellow bananas in one box and all the green bananas in another box, right? So the collection of items that we have is the banana, and the characteristic, based on what characteristic we are dividing them, we are grouping them based on the colors. So the characteristic is the color, and we are grouping them. So similarly in TestNG, since we deal with test, we divide our test cases into different groups and we name them as smoke, sanity, integration, regression, functional, etc. Right? So let's see with an example now. This is my Eclipse, and this is the same project that I created in the last video. All right, plain basic Java project with TestNG added as a reference, and we have a package called groups. Okay, and within groups I have just one basic test class. All right, and within this test class we have 5 different test methods with annotation on top of each of them, and each of them is printing a sysout statement with this text: I am in test. 01 would be the first test, 02 for second, and 05 for the fifth one, right? So let me just tell you that how we can achieve grouping, how we can group test using the group attribute provided by TestNG. So say for example, test 1, you decided that okay, this test can be a part of a smoke. All right, so let's name it. So this is how we add a test case to a certain group. So you just right after @test, open bracket, put in groups with an S there, equals to, and you open the second bracket, close the second bracket, and within the bracket you open quotes, and you name it, like you name it anything of your choice. It doesn't have to be smoke or sanity or anything, like it depends on how you want to name them. You're free to choose any name as per your application or as per your need. All right, so let's go with this. Let's go with something that we all are aware of. So let me just put it as sanity. All right, so the test case 1 has been categorized as sanity. All right, it has been tagged as the test cases under group sanity. All right, similarly, let's make the test 2 as a part of smoke. All right, and let's make test number 3 as a part of smoke as well as sanity. All right, we can do this as well. TestNG allows you that you can tag particular test as a part of sanity, or as a part of multiple groups. So this test falls under sanity and smoke group. All right, similarly for this we can let's mark it as smoke. Okay, cool. So if you see here, test 1 and test 3, they are part of sanity groups, and similarly sanity group, and test number 2 and test number 4 and test number 3 are part of smoke suite, or I would say smoke group. All right, so suite is nothing but the group, I would say, right here in this context. All right, so this is how you tag a test as a part of a group. All right, tomorrow if you have something else, then you can just go and add. Say for example, you have another test down below here, you want to mark it as, you want to tag it as some, tag it under some group, then you can just go and uh, type this statement there, give it the right name, give it the right name as right group name, sorry. All right, and if you see here, test number 5, I haven't given it any group, so I haven't assigned this test to any of the group. All right, why? We will see that later. All right, so this is how we group test cases using TestNG. Now the second part is, how do we execute them? How do I make sure that how do I make sure that I want to execute only test which belongs to this group, smoke or sanity? So let's do that. How do we do that? We do that using TestNG XML file. So first of all, convert this class to TestNG and hit finish. And you can see this TestNG XML file has been created. Now maybe you can keep it or you can leave it. Since I haven't covered that part as a part of this tutorial, I mean the entire series that we have as of now, I'm getting rid of that, but you can leave it. It will not bug you, right? So now how do we define test within XML file? All right, how do we define groups within XML file? I'm so sorry. So this is how you start within test tag. Within this test tag, just below that you can write, you have to write groups. All right, the moment you end, it will add the end tag, and within groups you have to add run. Okay, open and close, and within run you have to mention the group that you want to include or exclude. Okay, so let's start with include and then we will see the exclude part. All right, so what is the test, what is the group that you want to execute? All right, so what are the tests that you want to execute which falls under a group? So let's start with smoke. All right, so let's execute all those tests which falls under the group smoke, right? So if you see here, it will execute 02, it should execute 02, 03 and 04. All right, it should not execute any other. Okay, so let's go and put in the name as smoke. All right, control S, that's it. And you can see I just have one class and I want to perform all the tests that belongs to that belongs to this class and has been marked as smoke as a group. Okay, so let's quickly right click on it, run as TestNG suite, and let's see what happens. Okay, and you can see it has executed 02, 03 and 04. Okay, so 02 has smoke, 03 has smoke and 04 has smoke. Okay, it did not execute sorry, sanity, did not execute 05. All right, and did not execute, yeah, it has executed rest of the methods because they all are under smoke group. All right, similarly if you want to exclude, say for example, if you want to say for example, let's go with sanity once. So let me execute sanity and let's see what happens. Right click on it, run as TestNG suite, and then you can see we have only two test cases, all right, in the console. So test case 1 and test number 3. So test case 1 is sanity and test case 3 is sanity again. We don't have sanity anymore, right? We don't have any more sanity, so that's why test number 1 and test number 3, test 3 were executed. Now this is all about the include part. How about exclude? If say for example, out of these, all of these tests, you don't want to run the test cases which falls under the group sanity. All right, so how you can do that, all you have to do is go and change it to exclude. Okay, so right click on it. So see, if I exclude sanity, that means it will go and execute that all the test but the one with which falls under the group sanity. All right, so let me just go and right click, run as TestNG suite. Okay, if you see here, test in case number 2, number 4, number 5, right? So 2, 4 and 5. 2 is smoke, 4 is smoke, and 5, it doesn't fall under any category, right? Any group. So that's why it was 5. So what did I say? You exclude only those tests which falls under the category sanity, right? So Since this doesn't fall under sanity, that's why it was executed. Okay, this doesn't fall under sanity, that's why it was executed. But if you see here, test 3, it falls under sanity as well as smoke. But since we are excluding sanity, that's why number 3 was also not executed. Let me show you this. Number 3 is not in the list, right? So that's why 2, 4, and 5 were executed. Anything that you exclude, TestNG will not run it. It will ignore it totally. All right. So this is all about include and excluding the test. Include and exclude. Okay. Now we are going to see MetaGroups. All right. All right. All right. I forgot to mention something. So before we start MetaGroups, let me just quickly tell you that you can have multiple tag within this run. Okay. So within exclude, you can have another exclude. All right. And this time you can add smoke as well. So you are excluding every test which are under group sanity and smoke. Let's run it. Run as TestNG suite. So probably it will execute only one test, number 5, I guess. Yeah. So if you see here, it has executed only test number 5 because rest of the test they belong to either sanity or smoke, but this is the only one which is not in smoke or sanity group. Okay, so that's the reason why they all have been executed. I mean, they all have been excluded. Similarly, you can have include as well. One include and another exclude. You can play with them and you can see the how they are behaving. All right, so it is quite stable. It is not going to break. All right, so if you include both of them, sanity and smoke, it is going to execute all the tests that falls under the group sanity and smoke. So everything except 5. See, everything except 5. 1, 2, 3, 4 except 5. So this is what I want to do, add here as well. Now let's go to meta tags. So if you see here the slide, it says groups within a group. All right, so since we have the way we have test the way we have different tests falling under a group, similarly we can have multiple groups within a group. All right, so let's see how we can do how do we achieve that in TestNG. So this let's keep it sanity as of now and with just one tag there. So within groups, what you can do is you can define a group. All right, that define a group means you are creating a new group. All right, and you're naming it. All right, so we are naming it as, say for example, regression. Just for example, regress. All right, just let us name it as regress. Now within define, okay, you have to add, you have to tell TestNG that within maybe let's make it regression. Okay, so within regression, you're telling TestNG to include or exclude some of the groups from execution. So say for example, let's include the test, let's include the group sanity. Okay, similarly let's include smoke as well. Okay, and okay, now if you see here, just a minute. Okay, don't get confused, I will just explain you 1 minute, don't worry. Now within this group, we are defining a new group. All right, which name is regression. Okay, and now this group regression has group sanity and smoke. That means if we execute regression as a group, okay, if we execute regression as a group, if we execute this group, whose name is regression, it is going to include sanity and smoke test, all the tests which falls under the group sanity and smoke. All right, and then now if you see here, regression has sanity and smoke, and we are going to run what we are going to run. We are going to run regression here, since we have created another group and I want to run that particular group. All right, so let's run this. Run as TestNG suite. If you see, it will run 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, exactly, 1, 2, 3, 4. 5 doesn't fall under any of the group. That's why, doesn't fall under sanity or smoke, right? That means 5 doesn't fall under regression. If you see here, we have added both of them and created a new group, regression. Okay, so all of them, because each one of these, they fall under either sanity or smoke. That means they fall under regression, right? So regression, and the scope of this keyword regression is limited to this particular XML file, okay, because we don't have regression anywhere here. So this is something else which is, which is being understandable by TestNG only in this file, nowhere else. Okay, so this is all about meta tags. I'm sorry, meta groups. That means groups within a group. All right. All right. So let's move on to the partial groups. Partial group. If you come here, and let me just. The partial group is. Let me get rid of this meta groups. Okay. Let's keep it simple, and maybe like sanity. Right. Back to what it was. Now, what does partial group says? Now, within this class, all right, the way we have @test method for method, all right, @test annotation for method, and we define group. Against that, we can set test annotation on class level as well, along with group. All right, along with group, we can mark a class as a part of a group. The way we have marked this test as a part of this group sanity, similarly, we can mark a class as a group, as a part of a group. All right, let's name it as regression here, right? Maybe capital R, because you see this is different from the word regression that we used earlier to explain meta groups. Okay, so in this, now we have marked the entire class as a part of a group, that is regression. So what will happen in that case? This particular test, right, this particular method which is a part of the group sanity will become the part of the group regression as well. Okay, both of them. So when we execute sanity, it will be executed. When we execute regression, it will be executed too, because this belongs to sanity as well as regression. Similarly, test2 belongs to smoke as well as regression. Similarly, test3 belongs to sanity, smoke, and regression. So everything belongs to regression now. And similarly, if you see here, test number 5, it doesn't belong to any of the group, but now since it falls under this class and the class belongs to one of the group, that is regression, class 5 becomes a part of regression. All right, so now let's see how does it behave when we execute regression group. We are running the group regression as a part of this execution. All right, within this class. So right click on it, run as suite. So ideally it should execute all the test within the class, because we are giving the group name as regression. So if you see here, all of them have passed. So this is partial grouping. I don't know why they have named it as partial grouping, but this is what it is about. That you have methods with some group within some groups, and if you have tagged that particular class, which the class to a certain group, and if you execute that group, then all the methods within that class will be marked to that particular group and they will be executed. All right, so this is about partial grouping. Now the last part is regex, groups with regex. Okay, this is an interesting one. All right, so in order to understand the regex part, let's consider an example. We have an application which has two different modules, module 1 and module 2, and you have test cases written for module 1 as well as module 2, but there are few test cases which are shared between module 1 and module 2. So for example, sign in. Now since this is one application, and within this application we have module 1 and module 2, the sign-in will be a common feature for both, right? Sign-in will be used to access module 1 as well as module 2. So that sign-in test case will be shared between module 1 and module 2, right? Similarly, we may have many other test cases which are common across module 1 and module 2, right? So you can group your test cases based on module, right? You can name the module, you can name the group based on the module, and then you can use regex to pull out all the test cases which belongs to module 1 using regex and execute them, module 1 group test cases. All right, so let's see with an example. So this is the same. Let me just get rid of this, and then within this, say for example, this is module 1 sanity, module 1 underscore sanity. All right, and this is module 1 smoke. Okay, and this is module 2 sanity, and this is module 1 smoke. Okay, this is how you have named the group actually, right? So module 1 smoke again, and let's use 5 as well for our explanation. This goes to module not module, we have to make module 1, and this is going to module 2, right? So if you see here, the way we have written the way we have given the name of groups, we have a pattern here. Module 1 underscore sanity, module 1 underscore smoke for module, and for test 3 we have module 1 smoke. And this test 3 is like sign in, which is shared across different set of test cases and in different module. So this test 3 has been tagged as module 2 sanity, and it is also a part of module 1 smoke. All right, so similarly test 4 and test 5. Now what if I tell you that module 2 is not working as of now? All right, for some reason there was some error, and you know that module 2 is not going to work, it will fail. And all you want is, so if module 2 is dead and you want to execute only the test cases which belongs to the group module 1, then you can use regex to pull out all the test cases and execute them. So let's see how it is done. So okay, this is the XML file for the same class. Let me get rid of this regression here. Okay, and type module 1 dot start. Okay, so what are we doing here? So if you see here, we are going to execute all the test cases within a group, and the group name starts with module 1, and it can be anything after that. So anything after number 1, okay, it doesn't matter. TestNG will execute all the test case which falls under the group and has the name module 1 star. Okay, so if you see here, we have module 2 sanity, module 1 smoke, module 1 smoke, module 1 smoke, module 1 sanity, and module 1 smoke. All right, so this test case, this test case, this test case, and this test case, right, they all will be executed. The reason is they all have the test, they fall under a group, and the group name has the word module 1 in it. All right, so let me just quickly save this and let's run and see what happens. Okay, so if you see, it has executed 1 2 3 4. The reason is this one has the group name module 1, 2, even 2 has module 1, even 3 has module 1, even 4 has module 1. All right, it has not executed this because it has module 2, right? So similarly, if you want to run for module 2, then all you have to do is it will execute all the tests. See, if I have added only one line here, one tag include, and rest of the things will be taken care by TestNG, right? So if you add module 2 here, it will go and add all the test which belongs to the group module 2. Right, so if you see 3 and 5 were executed, the reason is only 3 has module 2 and 5 has module 2. Okay, so this is all about what we had today. All right, we covered what is grouping in TestNG, and what are how we can include and exclude groups, and we saw what are meta tags, what is partial groups, and how did we use regex to achieve groupings. So I guess I've covered everything, and I hope to see you in the next video. Okay, let me see. I'll see what is coming in the next video. Probably I will go for depends on. Okay, so that is it. And if you like this video, hit like, and if you haven't subscribed this channel, please hit the subscribe button, and I hope to see you in the next video. Thank you. Have a good time ahead.